But I do want to get back to Dan Orlovsky. It's Wildy and Tausch, Jesse and Tausch today, Jason on assignment. Dan Orlovsky joined us to start today's show, ESPN NFL analyst. A lot of interesting insight to share about the Green Bay Packers and Jordan Love, and let's just dive right into it right away. Here is some of what Dan Orlovsky said right off the top of the show on why he thinks Jordan Love is set up for success with the Green Bay Packers right away here in the 2023 season.
This offense that Matt Lafleur runs comes from that Mike Shanahan, Gary Kubiak, Kyle Shanahan tree. So the scheme I've witnessed elevate players kind of better than their talent would naturally. And that's not a knock on these guys. We've watched Jimmy Garoppolo, a good player, play really good. I watched Matt Schaub, have a top 5 kind of season 3 or 4 years in a row in this offense. We've seen this with Ryan Tannehill will be a top 10 quarterback. So the scheme elevates guys.
That kind of fits the narrative that I'm expecting this season, Tausch, that this isn't so much about Jordan Love's skill set. I think he'll continue to develop and find his rhythm and settle in as the starter as the season goes on. I think the success of the Packers as a whole this year is more dependent on Matt LaFleur's scheme for Jordan Love to be comfortable and not mess up any big games, especially early in the year with a winnable schedule in September. What do you make of what Dan said there about comparing the LaFleur system to that of Kyle Shanahan and what they're running in Tennessee and all the other comps that he made?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at this, that is what all optimistic Packer fans believe. And I think the hope in what this team can have success in will be that formula. The run the ball, play action pass, easy throws, give your quarterback a chance to be successful. And I think why I believe that he needs to elevate himself into that top 5, and Dan agrees with me, by the way, is because we've seen Jimmy G, and we've seen Kyle Purdy. We've seen people execute this offense that were not first-round picks, that do not have the same pedigree that Jordan Love has. And I think we've all resigned ourselves to thinking, well, I don't know how good Jordan Love is. Jordan Love's a first-round pick. Doesn't mean he's going to be great, but that means he has those tangible things to be a good quarterback in this league. And when you get 3 years to experience it and to understand it and to soak it all in, you got to let it loose. And this isn't, yes, when you play, you grow and you learn things and you make mistakes. That all is going to happen. But it needs to continue to progress, and that's the part that I think, Packer fans, Dan Orlovsky, the guys that think this can be a playoff team, they all view it that way. And that will be the formula for 10 and 11 wins if this team is going to get it. It ain't going to be Jordan Love dropping back and doing all the things that Aaron Rodgers did. And if you can kind of read between the lines, Dan Orlovsky talked a lot to Matt Lafleur. He was, talked about coaching this football team this year. It's pretty obvious when I asked him why this team struggled. Matt Lafleur wants to be under center more. Aaron Rodgers could not do that because of his thumb. I think you can kind of correlate, I wonder where Dan's getting that from. Probably Matt Lafleur. And Matt Lafleur wants to, because that when Matt Hasselbeck joined, it doesn't matter what other quarterbacks we talk to, making the defense look at how you're running your offense. If you're in gun, people think pass. If you're under center and you're sprinting to a spot with the football extended, your linebackers are thinking, I have to get to my gaps. Defensive linemen aren't thinking, I'm screaming up the field to kill the quarterback. They're thinking, I better be setting an edge, and I better be making sure I'm secure in my run fits. That makes throwing the football markedly easier. That is what Dan Orlovsky is banking on, why this offense will be better and why they're going to be able to win more games, is because that system, with a quarterback that's going to execute it, that's what the banking on this offense being better with Jordan Love.
We'll get to more Orlovsky in a minute because I want to get real football-y here for a minute. So you talk about freezing the linebackers because that's what we've talked about for a couple of years is the key to the scheme for Shanahan and for Lafleur and for everyone that runs that style. It's freezing those linebackers. So if you're a defensive coordinator, like we're talking about it, I'm sure defensive coordinators know that's what offenses like this are trying to do. So if you're a defensive coordinator, how do you counter that then? What are you talking about on that side of the ball to say, okay, this is what they're going to try and do, so how do you avoid that? What's the key to the success on the other side in retaliation to the scheme?
Well, I think when you look at what New England did to the Rams in that Super Bowl and what the Bears did to the Rams, that has been the formula to stopping Sean McVay, to stopping Kyle Shanahan is, A, you have to stop the run game, but B, you need to flood and get in quarterbacks' faces. You don't let them set their feet and get comfortable. And I'm sure we're going to hear some of the comments on Joe Barry from Dan. When you let offenses get comfortable in this day and age of football, it's really hard to stop because you can't hit them over the middle. You can't get super physical with anybody. So the answer is you bring people and you shoot gaps, and you don't necessarily have everybody doing all of the run fits where you kind of stay there, you get your hands